And you had an interesting incident at the charter schools public hearing this morning. Tell me what happened.
We were sitting in the committee, and members of the committee were going around joking, saying their opinion about different things, and everybody in the audience was, just laughing some of the things they were saying. And as the State Representative John Rogers was getting ready to ask his questions to the bill sponsor, Mr. Phil Williams, I was approached by security and asked to step outside. And in my mind, I was, wondering, what is it about? But really didn't think anything of it because I was just sitting there. And once I got outside, I was told that the committee chair, which happened to be Jay Love, Republican from Montgomery, told him that I was being disruptive and I was being warned and I better stop. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he said, told me that I was smiling and laughing. I said, are you, you serious playing April Fool joke on me? He said, no. And that's when I told him, I said, listen, I said, I'm going back in here and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to smile. I said, because I'm a human being, I'm a man. And I said, I have the right to smile and laugh. And I said, everybody in the room's been doing it. I said, nobody's going to come to a committee hearing and just sit there and stare, no facial expression, because Jay Love said. And I went back in and really didn't even listen to anything he was saying. And when I got back in, that's when everybody told me that John Rogers, before he spoke, he told them that they said, hey, why y'all putting my friend out? Is he a threat? What is he? Because he got a bomb or something? And they started passing notes, asking to let me back in, and that's how we went. And it's very sad that we've come to a point in time in our state and in our country that, just because a person makes a facial expression, and let's not make any bones about it, because I disagree with them on charter schools profiting off our children, the corporations, and that's what it's about.
So as you, in the hearing this morning, you heard what was said, and I guess you maybe read the bill and read some news coverage about the bill. What do you think about this idea?
I think it's a horrible thing for Alabama. We've never, the state of Alabama has never went on record and said that equality for all children. And now we have a Republican majority all of a sudden saying that inner city children should have an option. But the option doesn't include equality. And that's very disturbing. One of the things that was really disturbing this morning was when they said if you're in a low performing school, it would be turned to a charter school. But nowhere in the bill did it say that the charter school had to take the children that went to the failing school. They said it would be open up to everybody. That's really disturbing, because if the ultimate goal is supposed to be to make the kids in that community be in a passing school, not a failing school, why wouldn't, if the charter school is so good, accept those students?
What's the percentage they're taking from public school?
It's 3% in the bill.
Is that from the Public Education Trust Fund?
Yeah, it comes from the trust. All the funding comes from the Public Education Trust Fund.
It's all tax dollars? All
tax dollars. And what's really disturbing about it is how they try to word it. The state right now pays for the principal, sends you funding for the AP, the teachers, all staff. So why would the charter school have 3% being taken out for the authorizer? And that's where they're going to make their money.
Paid for some corporate school.
Right. And that's the reason you have
somebody's
the business
going to make a profit off of this school.
That's the reason you have the business community pushing it. Right. It's nothing in any law right now stopping corporations from participating with our regular traditional public schools. And what's amazing is when I went to Birmingham schools, Center Street Middle School to be particular, we had corporations that sponsored our school. And so it's nothing that's stopping any corporation right now from adopting the school. And it's really sad that we've gotten to the point where we are taking advantage of our poorest communities, taking advantage of them. Really weird what they're doing this time with charter schools. We normally, when we have a public hearing, they would vote that day. Well, they've drawn this out, and it's going on the third week. And I think one of the main issues is that they don't have the votes among the Republicans. Because one of the fears that we heard is that they were concerned that the inner city children will be able to go into the suburban areas and go to school. So they actually changed it today to where it wasn't basically charter schools weren't going into all areas, which is going to the 22 failing school districts. And that's another thing that I don't think they've really talked about when they say low performing districts. You can have a school district like Birmingham have 50-some schools, and you only have 4 of them on the list for consistently failing schools, but you label the school district and the school board and say they're incompetent. Well,
help me understand this, because I mean, in this, the idea of a failing school. I mean, did this come from the No Child Left Behind Act?
Yes, it's No Child Left Behind.
Standardized tests.
It has a lot to do with AYP, standardized tests. In some schools, we had in AYP, some schools didn't make it, and it'll just say fail. But when you look at the numbers, they'll be able to meet 97%, and it'll be something like attendance. It'll be something like special ed. And that's the other part that people are not really talking about.
They just drop below the score line a little bit. And made a C or something.
Right. And we all know, I worked in special ed when I taught. And that's something I really do think this country and everybody has basically taken advantage of, that particular subgroup, because we know that those kids are not going to perform to the level of our regular kids. That's how you determine that they're special ed. And what you see in your poor areas, you have a lot more special needs kids. And those schools were performing, and if you looked at it, most of the schools were failing because of special ed.
Right.
And you see it more now as it gets close to 2013, 2014, and they get to that 100%. You see, this year you saw Hoover in certain Jefferson County schools that are not going to make it.
Right.
And we need to come together, not just in Alabama, but around the country, and say, stop attacking public education. We need to be the ones driving the change that we need, not legislators, not the President of the United States. It needs to come from the people that work in the profession every day, and the parents. It's an unfunded mandate. Right. That's the other thing that we don't talk about. This in Alabama, before you had No Child Left Behind, we were not funding our schools correctly. And if you look at the areas that are failing, it's because of funding. People don't want to talk about that, and they basically want to profit off our children. That's why they're pushing charter schools. And if you travel, the world, read different things, the countries that are doing better in Alabama than the United States in education don't have charter schools.
Won't you have to pay to go to a charter school?
You're gonna. If we've done studies in Chicago, they will start out and tell you that these schools they won't charge you, and they will start charging. That's the biggest lie they've been telling, that they don't charge.
They have to buy their own books.
They're going to buy their own books and bring their own trash can. They have to purchase the trash can from that particular group. I just think if we're going to tell the story, tell the whole story. It has nothing to do with our problems really are. Charter schools, talking about options, you never funded the schools the correct way. They've been talking about national security and people that are un-American. I mean, some of the bills that they're bringing about is un-American. Why is it not un-American that these corporations are not paying their fair share of taxes?
Right.
In most cases, they just give them total tax breaks where they don't pay anything.
Right.
It's just disturbing.